Are you a fan of Pokemon cards and have a creative side? If you do, then you clicked on the right video. But if you can't relate, then completely ignore that and feel free to continue watching, because today we'll be turning our Pokemon hits into clay art. And since this video is sponsored by my bank account, we'll be opening up one of the easiest sets to pull a hit, Crown Zenith. Before we get started with our masterpiece, we need to pack ourselves a hit, of course. Now, Crown Zenith is actually one of the perfect sets to go ahead and do this with, just because of the high pull rates, meaning it shouldn't be long until we come across our first hit. With our hit, that will count as anything as low as a V card all the way up to a gold card. As long as it's not a regular card or a holo card, we're not going to count holo cards either, just because those technically were hits back then in the Sword and Shield era, and before that as well. But we're not going to count a holo card as that, so we're going to keep on opening up packs until we come across our very first hit. And the first pack, that's a holo card. We're not going to take that as our hit, so let's continue to open up some packs and see what Pokemon we're going to end up recreating. Now, if we pull ourselves a full art trainer card, that technically is also a hit, so we will have to recreate the trainer itself. That can get quite difficult just because there's a lot of details that go into making a character, of course, opposed to trying to recreate a Pokemon, which it's a lot more shapes that are a lot easier to go ahead and do for a beginner like me. But then again, that also kind of depends on the Pokemon we pull. If we get ourselves a baby Pokemon, let's say like from the Galarian Gallery for example, compared to pulling one of the legendary Pokemon, which are a lot more detailed as well. But we never know. It's only a matter of what card we pull. Looks like we're not going to get anything here as well. 2 packs in and we actually haven't pulled anything so far, but I got a feeling we're going to come across a pull sometime soon, whether it's this pack or the very next pack. I never have gone, I believe, 4 packs without pulling a hit from Crown Zenith, so let's make sure that doesn't happen today. Also, just to put it out there, I am not a professional at clay art at all. I just went down the rabbit hole of videos on YouTube, seen a lot of other creators recreating Pokemons with clay art, and I thought it was fascinating, so I went ahead and gave it a try. Just put a little twist on it on my end, since I do open up Pokemon cards here on the channel, and wanted to go ahead and see if I can turn one of my pulls into clay art. So let's go ahead and see. It's going to be a learning process with me. This is going to be my second attempt at clay art, as I have attempted it previously not too long ago, posted here on the channel. There will be a link at the end of the video if you want to check that out. We went ahead and attempted it with another Pokemon set, and let's just say things didn't really go our way. I easily found out that this takes a lot more skill than I thought it did, which is why I went ahead and did some research, watched a couple tutorials, and I'm here to attempt it once again. But first we need to pull ourselves a hit in order to proceed with the video. So let's see if on pack number 4 we can actually pull ourselves a hit. As we're reaching into the first slot, let's see if we get something here. Nothing there. And the very last pack, we get ourselves, let's go, we get ourselves a legendary Pokemon card. So we have the Pokemon that we will be recreating. So let's go ahead and gather our stuff and get on started with the video. Now there's a lot of details in Kyogre, meaning let's start off simple with the body first. I have myself some blue clay that I went ahead and kind of shaped or molded in the body of Kyogre. Up next, I'm going to go ahead and get some white and make the part that he has right underneath his mouth. We're going to put this right on there just like that. That's the nice thing with clay, is that it pretty much sticks to one another. I'm going to smooth it out with my fingers just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tool just to make it a little bit easier. Here we're going to go ahead and mold out the eyes. We're going to just go up a bit on each side to try and get the shape of the eye, and then that's when we'll go ahead and fill it in with the other details as well. Smooth it out a little bit right there with my finger. These tools all came with like a set that I purchased, so they're no expensive tools of course, but it'll go ahead and do. I don't need nothing too extreme since I am a beginner as of right now, but if you do have experience with clay art in the past, go ahead and let me know down in the comments what tools you would recommend for me to purchase if I were to try this again in the future. I just bought this all from a set from Walmart. I think it was around $10 or so, and everything came with it, so can't complain off of that. This pretty much finishes up our base. Moving on, we're going to add on some details to the eye with a couple layers of colors to go ahead and make it the eyes really pop. I've come to find out that if you don't perfect, or at least if you don't get good enough with the eyes, this can all turn into a disaster, just because that's one of the main features that not just a Pokemon but a person has. We have the red outline. I'm starting off at the beginning, then with a little bit of black on each side. I went ahead and pre-cut everything just to make it a lot easier. If not, we would be here for a couple hours watching me try and get everything figured out. We have a little outline of yellow on top of the black, so let's go ahead and add that onto each side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get this rolled up red. This is what's gonna outline and really give us that final touch when it comes to a lot of the features that Kyogre has. We're going to outline this around the whole bottom part and around the eyeball as well. It's going to really make it come alive, and then we're going to work our way over to the front of the face as well, going all the way around. Mistakes like that will happen, where I will drop my stuff. That's okay, as long as nothing comes off. The clay is pretty much stuck on there, which is a good thing. With this clay, all I really did was just take up a little ball of red, and I just started rolling it out little by little. It started thinning itself out as well. It's not long enough, but if I go ahead and get another little piece, I can just cover that up and then smooth it out and make it blend and all look pretty well with one another. As I'm adding on the red, I also start to notice that Kyogre is starting to come a lot more alive. I'm starting to see the Pokemon a lot more, even though the eyes weren't symmetrical. All these other details kind of hide the fact that they're not symmetrical, of course. We're gonna add the little pupils into the eyeball as well. I did purchase myself another little kit at Michael's. This was right around, I'm gonna say like $5 or so, a couple other tools. But the only ones, or the main ones I was using for this project was really just like this needle that was making it easier to transfer stuff and put them in a direct location or exactly where I wanted them to go. Now that we're good with the eyes, we're going to add on a couple more details onto Kyogre. He has a couple other white spots right on the top of its body. So we're going to put this one right here, blend it a little bit with our finger. Our main objective is just to make sure that it's on there and it's not going to fall off. So just by putting a little bit of pressure, not too much since we don't want to flatten it out and ruin its shape, then we should be fine. Now I should have probably made these a little bit thinner because they are kind of popping off the body a little bit, but surprisingly I actually kind of like the way it looks. So we're going to leave that the way it is because I like the 3D effect that it kind of gives off. So that's going to be the final little white accent piece that we have on Kyogre. We're next going to add the fin that he has on top. We will go ahead and just place that on there. We will blend these ones a little bit. Just because I feel like if I don't blend these, they can fall off since they are smaller pieces and they're going to be a little bit more fragile. So just by getting the tool, I'm going to just simply just brush it down. Let me fix this one real quick, but I'm just going to go ahead and just bring the clay down. At first it's not going to blend too well, but we can go ahead and work with that. That's something I didn't really take a look at when I was studying some of this clay art. Was I didn't really look at any blending techniques. I just kind of looked at the tools that a lot of creators were using and decided I would learn as I worked on this project. We have more of the red, I guess you can say red spaghetti that we went ahead and rolled up. This is going to add some more accent pieces that Kyogre has around his body. He has some that go, of course, around the front of his face, around the eyes, and the bottom of his body. And then he has some more that are going to go around the fins. It's going to wrap around the bottom. He has a little bit of like a triangle shape or design underneath his body. So we'll do that. And then we're going to wrap it back around, going over to the second fin that he has above his body. We will try and make it look as neat as possible. I can always go ahead and touch it up a little bit afterwards once the project is done, just so we can make some of these steps go a little bit faster. And with the magic of editing, we can cut a lot of this stuff out, of course. We don't have some of the fins attached on just yet, but I do have to say that the body looks pretty good. I believe we nailed it, and I'm pretty proud of myself so far considering how the last video went. If you're enjoying the content so far, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and also drop a comment down below. For today's question of the video, since we do have Kyogre from Gen 3, I want to know what's your favorite Gen 3 Pokemon? Mine would have to be Flygon, as it is not only my favorite Gen 3 Pokemon, but it's my favorite Pokemon of all time. But make sure to let me know down below, and I reply to every single comment. But going on back to the project, one issue I did keep running into was that the red dye, when I would use it, would leave quite a bit of residue on my fingers. So even me just holding Kyogre like this, a couple of the white spots are going to have some red residue over it. So that's why I kept on washing my hands every time I switched over to a different color. But when I'm moving Kyogre around, sometimes a little bit of the red still kind of gets on the white. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but in person you can kind of see where there's a little bit of red on the white. You can always paint over this at the end of the project if you wanted to, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Up next, we're going to go ahead and add some details to the fin. Instead of adding our little red spaghetti right around the center, I'm just going to go ahead and put a little red dot, then add a blue piece on top of it just to give it that same effect, but it's going to give it a little bit more depth since we have layers layered on top of it, of course. To finish up some of the details on the fin, we're going to grab some more of our red clay and break it up into 4 individual sections that's then going to lead off to the nails or claws that Kyogre has on each hand. There's a total of 4, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out 4 little pieces right here. It's okay if it's misplaced, of course. I'll go ahead and shift those over just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and replicate the exact same thing on the other side as well. And one thing as I'm working on this was I wasn't too sure how I was gonna attach it to the actual body. This is quite heavy. It's not heavy, but in terms of how thin it is going to be quite heavy. So I can't just stick it on there like I did with a lot of the other accent pieces. But we'll go ahead and find out that shortly to see what we're going to go ahead and do. There's both of them. We're going to add on the little white claws onto each one. So it makes it look like the center part is kind of leading into each one. So the red accents really add more features or details to Kyogre. This one was a little bit smaller, but it's okay. I went ahead and just cut out little squares. It was quite difficult to cut these shapes out, but I just went ahead and made little balls and then squished it in the size of a square. Some of them might be rectangles, some of them might be squares, but at the end of it, you're not really gonna be able to tell. Once it's on there, it's just gonna add more depth to the project. Now it's going to be my favorite part after this, which is going to be actually attaching these onto the body. As I was seeing on YouTube, what I seen a couple other creators doing was using some type of wire. My only issue with that is that I do have foil for the body, so it's not going to go ahead and go through. It will work for these fins that I have on the back end since they are going to be smaller pieces, but for the main body itself, it's not going to be fully supported. One other tool I've seen a couple other creators use was toothpicks. I would just need to break these in half because the whole toothpick isn't going to go through the tin foil. It's only going to reach right to it, probably going just a little bit, but the main part's going to go throughout the structures that we have right here. These are, since I did make these features a little bit thinner, it might show out off the back. That one's okay. But on the second one, let's see if we can go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to try and feed it right down the middle. You can see right there where it is shown a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit more blue and try and blend it in there. Looks like it's getting the job done. The only thing is that the back side might be showing a little bit as well. But we did go with this one and looks like we're not going to run into that same issue. It was just the front side where it was poking out a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and grab Kyogre and try and attach this one right in. The only thing is that it is a little loose, but I can always go ahead and blend it more or add more clay just to add more support. Just because as of right now, it is just going to be kind of flopping down, but it's getting the job done, at least for what I wanted it to do. So as long as it's on there for a little bit, it looks pretty good so far. With the arms on there, you can see the left side is a little bit more weaker, but we'll add some more support on that. I put the toothpick also through the back piece. We're just gonna add this in there like that, and then I'm gonna try and feed its way in between this one. There's no foil at the back end, meaning we can put the whole toothpick in there. It's just a matter of making sure it's not too long because I didn't snap it. We now officially have all the fins attached, so we're one step closer. I'm gonna go ahead and touch up a couple areas, add some more clay, but let's do that off camera. And with the magic of editing, let's go ahead and fast forward to the future. This is the card we pulled, and this is what we came out with. I really like the way it came out. You can tell it's Kyogre right off the bat. If you enjoyed this video concept and want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to watch one of our past Claret videos, make sure to click on this one right here on the left. And if you want to just check out more videos throughout the channel, make sure to click this one right here on the right. Thank you for stopping on by. That's pretty much it from us today, but I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.